Hello everyone, how are you today? It's Sharon Hankins here, live with you for another DIY project, and we are on Essential Stencils page, but I am from the blog irestorestuff, so if you want to follow me over there, you're welcome to do so. It's at irestorestuff, anywhere on your social media platforms that you'd like to watch from. Two things, I've painted a stool, so we're going to be stenciling on a stool today. If you saw on my Facebook page, I've put this on my stories. I painted this in Fusion Mineral Paint's brand new Alchemy line of paints in the colour Storm. So that's that Storm. I think I used this, I used it on a project recently on Essential Stencil as well. So it's a cute little stool. All right, we've got this Simply Blessed. You could add that Simply Blessed to the top of the stool. That would be fun too. But I do want to add these patterns on the sides. Then you could use another welcome. So there's a welcome. I'm imagining this just in an entryway, a beautiful little place to sit down, take your shoes off or put your shoes on, that kind of thing. So welcome would suit really well in this instance. This welcome actually has the different sports balls that you can use to create a fun O, to replace the O in welcome. So that's a fun one. So we might add the welcome on the top. And if you wanted to, you could add welcome to our patch, but I think that I will just use the welcome part of the sign and add that to our stool at the top, in which case I'm going to tape those words off. I've got a big bit of white on my brush. I'm going to offload that onto my cardboard before I start stenciling, which is my biggest tip, is offload as much as you can till it's almost dry. And then I can do a swirling motion on here. I can see that this is a little close to the edge, that little swirl there. Not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to just put a little bit of tape right there, just in case my brush goes over the edge. I don't want the brush to get white on the rest of the stool. I only want it on the stencil. So I'm doing a swirly motion now to kind of get the paint into the stencil, but the reason I can swirl without it getting under the stencil itself and creating fuzzy edges is because I've got hardly anything on the brush. But it's better to do two thin coats rather than have too much paint on your brush trying to get a really good coverage, and then you end up with bleed through or bleed under the stencil. So we don't want those fuzzy edges. We want nice, crisp, sharp edges. So just a nice swirling motion for our welcome sign. And this is from the new Summer 2025 bundle. And it does say welcome to our patch if you missed that just a bit earlier. But we've taped that off because I'm just going to make this a plain welcome sign, or a welcome stool as you do. It's a welcome stool for an entryway in a house or something like that. So I'll have to move my cardstock over here. Keep going. Might want to do some extra coats on that. We'll have a little look. See if I don't have any bleeding underneath. I don't actually. It's pretty good. But I think I might add a little bit more. Oops, a little bit much on the brush down on that end where the O and the M is. You may not be able to tell as well as I can. But we'll just hit that with a hairdryer real quick. And then we can go over that with another coat. And see how that looks. Nice crisp edges there. And we've got a bit of a brighter welcome sign now. So that's looking good. Do this really not quickly, but just, I don't want to just be doing it too precisely. We can have like a bit of a light pattern going on here. So as we go along, and with this one, I don't think I will do a second coat. We'll just keep going all the way down the stool for this stencil. Some little edges that aren't quite, they're sort of a bit like a bit too much on the brush, that's all. But that's okay, I think it'll be fine. And now we'll just move that down to around about. Now I can see that they go like this. So I want to make sure that this, as I move the pattern down, is going to repeat that same look. And making sure that this one here is in line with this one here and this one here and this one here. Do you understand what I mean? So I don't want this first row to line up exactly with this first row, because the pattern is that it is higgledy-piggledy. Is that a word? And then I want to check the distance between the two rows and see if I can make that the same. Okay. In our next, when we move down to this section here. But for this one you would probably lose 2 rows, and so it would be, you'd be probably only painting. All right, so let's have a look at this now. We've got that second one there. So I don't know if you can see tiny little dots here just on the edges of each little stencil, but once that completely dries, if I give that a scuff sand, it'll sort of lay down that a little bit more. Layer the pattern over the top of that last row. See how I'm doing that? Lay it over the top of the last row. I'm shifting this forward slightly. And then you've got yourself the patterns all in the right order. So we've got that first row is already done because we're going over the top of it. So laid it over the top, so there's no need to go over it again, or your colours will actually look a lot deeper on that one row. You don't want that one row to stand out too much, so higher than others. But when you're just looking at this from a distance, you really can't tell that it's you know, that there's anything wrong. Like, I think that we sometimes pick up on those little things like, oh, I can see the edges there or whatever, but I don't know if it really matters. Let me see if this will work. I'll have to line it up, line this line up with one of these. And then we've got these 2 rows down here and a little bits on the foots of the stool. So, going right down to the bottom there so I can see where I'm up to. Colours. All right, so we've got welcome, and I probably will put a little bit of a sealer on it. I will do the other side, but I won't do that while we're live, and then we'll move on to our other project. Let me see if we can see that nicely. We've got welcome and a cute stencil down the sides. When that dries out, I will probably give it just a bit of a sand, and then I'll seal it with some Tough Coat sealer. So I hope you enjoyed that today, and I'll see you next week for another fun DIY project. Bye.